Science community. How y'all doing today? Brother Doug, what is up, man?
Good morning, Zach. I am amped. I'm trying. I broke my own oven this weekend.
What?
Yeah. You know how you always tell all your friends and customers don't self-clean around the cooking season?
You self-cleaned.
I did. It's like a whirlpool from the late 70s, early 80s, because we haven't done our kitchen over yet. The clock doesn't work, so I manually put it in and I tried to take it out and it wouldn't unlock and broke it. And I've forgotten. So if there's any old school appliance guys that want to give me a call, the model is RPB 160X Peter Whiskey Zero. Yes. Is the door latch supposed to have one switch normally open and one normally closed?
It is.
Or in the bake position, is it both normally open? Because that's what my latch motor's doing. I know.
Oh, then it's probably wrong.
You think it's wrong?
Well, if it's broken, they're both in the open. I think it's one open, one closed. I think it's like the Frigidaire, buddy.
That's what I'm thinking. But anyway,
Remember
heard the breakers.
Frigidaire with the rod that went all the way through.
I do. Yeah.
I'm pretty sure it's the same way.
Yeah.
Sure.
But I already know that I'm done. Like, I'm pretty sure sometimes I wake up in the morning and I go, maybe I wasn't a good appliance repair technician. And I just survived 30 years. I mean, I did use needle nose and I almost got fired once for being crappy, but I was only 19 or 20 years old. Who the hell can be judged by that? What is that thing called? Imposter syndrome? You ever have imposter syndrome, Zach?
All day, every day.
Every day? Yeah. You're just like, maybe I wasn't that good, but I think I was. I think I am. I don't want to fix them anymore, though, because I'm in the people fixing business now as the guy running the boat. Yeah. So.
Gonna be a good morning, I think. Maybe. We're both a bit indecisive today, so sorry, guys. Good luck. Good luck today.
Well, if you don't know how it works, like Sunday afternoon, Zach goes through a dictionary. Okay, for you guys, that's like Google in a book for you younger people. And he just picks a random word, and then he tells everyone who hosts a podcast, this is the theme this week. So last time it was
do that from now on.
Yeah, last week it was patio umbrella, and we objected, and you reset, but you picked the theme people today, right?
For the week, yeah.
For the week, people.
Yep. Yeah, so the alternate title for today could, well, we won't go there. There could be a totally alternate title to today's topic relating to not liking people, not wanting to deal with people, and screw it, I'm going to curl up in a corner and read a good book.
Well, it depends how much vacation time you have accrued. If you have a lot, that means it's time to take a vacation, Zach.
Yeah. Apparently my mic is quiet. Interesting. All right, let me turn it up. How's that?
Ooh.
I'm apparently a third of your volume, buddy.
Like a loud Jay Leno is not what something everybody wants. So let's fix that.
Sound better? Drop a comment, Paul. Drop a comment.
Thank you, Mr. Hartland.
New soundboard, and for whatever reason, when it turns off, it's like motorized faders and dials, and everything resets to 0, which really frustrating. But it works well for what it's for. Yeah, good. I mean, I guess overall good weekend. Groot got a little taller. He grew by 3 books.
3 books.
3 books. Yeah, and there's 2 more over there. I learned that that's okay as long as I'm applying it. So
I can do about 10%. So it's application, but that's good. It's better than nothing, right?
Yeah. Well, I'm going through a thing, and so I collect the information and then I figure out how to apply it. A lot of people just collect the information and then go back out and keep doing the same thing over and over again. Insanity. I collect the information and somehow figure out how to apply it. So I guess that's kind of good.
like from each chapter. You'll grab a chapter and think about a couple things that you can try or apply, and maybe it
Well,
sticks, maybe it doesn't.
so I mean, you tease me, and some of the other guys tease me about being able to pull like this random stuff and
Yeah,
quote this random stuff.
yeah, yeah.
It's because I pour that knowledge in, and then somewhere along the line, I've actually had to use that, and then I'm able to spit it out when it's necessary. So I guess that's a good thing. Apparently, it's an entrepreneur thing. Um, Interesting.
There's in my Sunday school class, I finally get to take a Sunday school class instead of teaching. We're reading this book about grace, and right in the first chapter, it talks about that practicing grace, which means that I think that all of us, depends if how close you live to Chicago, and how far you live away, you have more grace in more areas. But I think that each of us as people, who calls the home phone anymore? People. Well, that's awkward. Oh,
You have a home phone?
who even knows? Is that Saul? Saul, stop calling me, please, buddy. Please.
Wow, we're that old, huh? Got a home phone.
That's awkward.
To answer your question, yes, all we can do that. It's so we're talking people this morning while Doug is taking his break. And
Goodness.
you guys probably get this from us a lot. We're talking about filtering customers and employees through your mission and vision statement. And if you've heard it before, that's good. If you haven't applied what we've taught you, welcome back. We're going to teach it to you again because that's what we do. So the people business is where Doug and I live. That is our respective roles as the people business. Whether you realize it or not, each and every one of you is in the people business. You own a service company, work for a service company. You are in the people business. And so if you can't figure out how to filter customers and employees through a mission and vision statement that you've created and aligns with you, it's a lot of hard work. Like, it's a lot of extra work that doesn't need to exist. When you're able to figure out who you are and get a mission and vision statement with clarity, and then filter everything you do through those, including attracting team members, attracting customers through that, it's not perfect, but I'm telling you, it's 1,000 times easier than any other way of doing it, right? So that's kind of what we're talking today, and we're going to share that from our lumps on the head.
Well, let me open us in prayer. We'll get started. Good morning, Lord. We are here again today. We are so thankful to be here alive, an opportunity to worship you and praise you. Lord, your greatest commandment is to love your neighbor as yourself, and so we lift that to you, Lord, today as we talk about people and being great leaders, being great servants, being great neighbors, and even being the best version of an enemy. As our sin gets in the way of humbling ourselves and meeting across the table. Lord, I lift Israel to you and that region of the country. Lord, I know you you are the God of the universe and the creator of all people, all children. And I know that when there are two sides fighting against one another, you are seeking peace. So, Lord, I pray for those who are innocent and out of control, not in control of what's happening. I pray that you keep them safe. I pray that you give them peace in their heart. Lord, and I ask that you fill the leaders on both sides with humbleness, and that they seek you with their eyes, and that they follow you and trust in you. Lord, thank you so much for Zach. God, I know that he's been in so much transition over the last year or two, couple years, and his attitude and his eagerness to succeed wherever he can be is an inspiration to us as friends of the community. And so, Lord, when he's down, when he's weak, when he's tired, I pray that you fill him with energy and excitement, and show him the way. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Saul says you have a bat line. The bat line.
I do.
Are you Batman?
It's a hot commissioner in my version. She's really hot.
Val must be out of the house.
We just do platonic lunches, Zach. Don't assume things. Come on now.
Oh boy. So I been processing through stuff. My own personal mission statement. We're coming to the end of the year. I'm leading the mastermind off with the guys on Saturday. Great first group. Awesome. Amazing conversation. Really enjoyed it. But part of that is personal goal setting, and then beginning to set the goals for your company as well. And so I lead by example, right? I went through the exercises myself, and as I'm going through it, I'm like, man, I got some stuff I got to work on. Like, there's some things that I need some clarity on. So I called up EJ. I sent him a text yesterday. I'm like, hey, got like 10 minutes to just run through this thing with me? He's like, yeah, sure. So I go, and I'm like, hey, so I'm assessing my strengths and my weaknesses and like these things that I do well and need to improve on, whatever. And I said, what do you see in me? And I listed out all the stuff, and I listed out the stuff that I saw as like my faults, the things I don't do well. He goes, man, I agree with every single one of those. He goes, I think that actually was a really honest assessment, so that was kind of cool to hear. And then the last piece he said, he goes, the only fault that I truly find in what you do, he goes, you are phenomenal at reading people. You are phenomenal at, like, you can see people's strengths. You can see their weaknesses. You can't go to that last piece. He goes, that is the part that you struggle the most with. When you see the strengths and weaknesses, how do you move them? How do you inspire them? How do you move them to the next level? And that's the piece I agree with. That's the part that I'm struggling to learn how to do. How do you move people once you've assessed their strengths and weaknesses? How do you help lead them? So
it's a great question.
Yeah. And that kind of goes into today's topic, right? So we're assessing people's strengths and weaknesses as we're bringing them into our team. We're assessing whether this is the right customer for us. What allows us to make that assessment? Mission and vision. Mission.
Let me ask you a question though first.
Yeah.
And again, the last couple of years, you're really just opened your lid, and you're just absorbing so much, and applying it is an ongoing process. And so you might have more truth out there that is the right answer than what you've been living out, like all of us, right? So let me ask you something. Would you say that in the past or most of your life, being in control of the situation and the environment, sort of, you felt like you had the upper hand there, or was that your MO in the past, is to maybe do less delegating or having more input, or felt more confident with the decisions being made by you?
I think for me, it goes into my ick, right? The ADHD thing, like having to control the world around me, because so much is out of control in my world. Yeah, I would try and control things. I would say in the last probably 3 years, I've really gotten good at just like.
That's what I mean. You're like, you're in transition, but there's still part of us forever. Like, you made your personal mission statement, and you kind of, I think I heard you say, you highlighted your strengths and you did your own assessment of your weaknesses. It's safe to say that our weaknesses will probably be with us for the rest of our lives, but hopefully just continuing to diminish and just be a hint of it, and that's That's a realistic thing if you work hard at focusing and on those weaknesses. So I just think that one of the hardest parts about identifying the strengths and weaknesses in someone that you're leading or that's in your life and you're trying to help them is that you kind of got to let them do it, which is like the hardest part of all, right? Giving them some information, giving them a mission, a coaching moment, and then letting them run with the ball. That's can be the very most deflating part about it all, is that it's on their terms. It's not on our terms ever, right? It is, we can fire somebody, but that's the extent of it. We can't make people buy into it. Now, if you said, I need you to make a lot of money, and they do it their own way, not your way, and they're maybe not doing it, they're not taking care of the customer, they're doing things that aren't up to your level of excellence, maybe ripping people off. That's not it. You didn't.
Yeah, see, but let's dig in. Let's unpack that even more.
Okay.
Because there's three different things that I heard in there. Okay. Ripping customers off is one thing. If you got someone ripping customers off, that's an immediate, like that's no fly zone. Doing it their own way, but within your mission and vision.
No, I meant outside of it, but yeah, within it is the
Right.
coolest thing ever, right, Zach?
Yeah.
That's the best thing because they're adding onto the thing you're designing around. They're
Might
adding
not
their
be the
own
way
piece.
you do it, but
Beautiful.
they're doing it within that scope, right? So that's two ways. And the third way I already forgot. So continue on.
No, but that's I think can be exhausting. Is to wait and coach and wait and coach, and the only thing you can do is let somebody go, right? In your personal life, same thing, right? Family member that you are giving a lot of grace and they're asking for help, and you give them some help, and then they don't take that help, or it doesn't seem to do anything. At some point, we could say, I'm done. It's over. I give up. And then the bar, of course, is Jesus Christ. And then you feel terrible because he never gives up on anyone ever. You know?
So if you guys don't know, like, this is a fun little combination, by the way. This is just what ran through my head. ADHD guy here, and then Doug over there who thinks like in normal thinking patterns. I'm just it's weird to me sometimes. But that's why we work well together in this questioning habit. So when you're assessing someone, Doug, because like, so I can assess people. I know your character. I can see your strengths and weaknesses within a very short window of time. Like, I know who you are. I don't know how to describe it, but I do. It's rare I'm wrong. I don't know what to do with that. So as you figured out how people are, I know it might take a little bit longer for you to kind of process through that. I don't know the other piece. Like, how do you help people get better? How do you inspire them to get better? Because I'm one, like, okay, you're not in alignment. Whoop, write you off. Bye-bye. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, so what does it look like to, like, how do you coach them up? How do you, like, with customers, you do the same thing with customers. You figure out who they are, and then you kind of like coach through that process. What does that look like?
I mean, it's gonna always be it's compromise all the time, right? It's compromise all the time. So I think the issue is, and from my perspective, you've got the superpower of seeing the strengths and the weaknesses within a short period of time. So what do you do with the weaknesses before they start? And what do you do here and here in your heart? What do you do when the weaknesses reveal themselves? What's the first thought? Is the first thought, I knew it. I told myself I knew it. Okay. So I'm going to say to you that if the first thought is, oh, I knew it, we're all, in my opinion, we're starting off on the wrong foot. It's almost like gotcha, but it can't be, because you're all knowing and you knew it was coming. It should almost be like, okay, it's here now. And I've prepared at least my first attempt to how to respond to that weakness that I knew was there from the very start. And now it's time to get to work, Zach, as a coach. But you can't
Apparently, I'm
start it.
still quiet.
What's that? Oh,
Apparently, I'm still quiet. I'm just messing with them now. Apparently, I'm still quiet.
I'll whisper. I'll whisper. No, but like, so Zach, I think it's like if you can see time ahead, you need to be prepared as the coach and not be disappointed or shocked or okay, here we go. It's not confrontation, it's coaching time. You can't coach them at the interview. Hey, listen, or the first day, after the first day, here's where I know you're going to struggle. You obviously you're going to have a messy van, and so it's not going to work to talk about it then. It has to work. So you have to be prepared for the application, but with the right attitude and the right mindset, which I think you have.
Yeah, I've been getting there.
You're from Chicago.
3 years ago, me?
No. I've heard some of your stories, and I try to, like, thanks to being friends with you over the last couple of years, I've learned not to wince when people tell me terrible stories like, ooh, like you said that. Like, I can do it straight face now. Thank you for that.
You can wince at me. It's fine. I know it's coming. Yeah. No, so okay. So yeah, we got to prepare to coach them. So once we've assessed people and we filtered them through and they are the right candidate, more than likely they're going to be someone who's coachable, right?
Yes.
We want people who are willing to learn. And this, I guess, is where for those of you who follow along on a regular basis, we were talking about like coaching up people and not just bringing in anybody because they're a body, like actually having the right candidates. And sometimes you're going to have C players. To me, I think it's too much effort to have a C player, right? Because they're not coachable. I'm going to say 90% of the time, a C player is not a coachable player. Like, they're not going to be coachable. So, how we recruit should include someone who's coachable. We want someone who's willing to learn, who's willing to grow, who's willing to get better. That is one skill. If you do nothing else, make sure you have someone that's coachable. You can see that. I mean, you can tell when people are coachable, I think.
It's always your fault.
Well, it is. Yeah. Every day. It's always my fault.
We interview somebody and we really need someone bad, and they tick some of the boxes, and you realize that you hope they're coachable. You see there's a chance, and then you hire them. You hire them because you're desperate, man. You got 20 calls being lost every day. That's your decision. You better, at the very moment you agree to accept them, go and be ready to prepare to find every bit of your soul to give that extra time, that extra energy to coach, and to give them the extra chances. But I think it's better to just pass, as I'm getting older, on those people and find someone who is really coachable, and understand that we're working on being better coaches on top of that. That's what I struggle with every day. It's like, okay, what the heck just went wrong? I thought that I knew it was going to happen. I knew it was coming, and I thought we were prepared. What did I say? What did I put into place? And then, okay, it's me again. All right, next time I'm not going to do a draw for the salary for the whole year. Nope, I'm not doing that. This time I'm going to do it month by month, or it's going to be my fault, not because he didn't perform or whatever. And usually that's the problem, isn't it? That it's just as much them as us, but it's always going to be our fault. So
100%.
Yeah.
So we've talked a lot about team. How do we do this with customers? How do we kind of, what are we attracting when it comes to customers? How are we maybe marketing that, or how are we pre-screening that? What does that look like in a healthy service business? Because Man, we've all heard about terrible customers, and I don't think it's necessarily terrible customers. As I've changed, again, I used to think they were very terrible. They're just not the right fit for me.
Right.
They work for someone. They are someone's customer, but they're not my customer. And so how do we kind of approach that? How do we approach finding our customer, right? I don't know. How do you do it, Doug? You just like throw some darts out there and hope for the best.
Listen, we have 16 technicians, so we fix everything, and so we don't have the luxury of being as picky, but we feel like as long as we did everything properly on our side, which is be impeccable with our word in the phone script and explaining the process. And if in the midst of trying to get that done, somebody wants to get impatient or be demanding, we'll typically, pass on them, but how about those who get through the filter and you find out they're kind of one of those crazy customers that are here to make our lives interesting. The trick is to get through that customer as fast as possible, compromise, and then add them to the do not service list. But I do love people that are in the different situations where they have the opportunity to be even more selective. Miss Ward has a pretty selective customer base, right? I know a few friends that just do high-end stuff. I think that minimizes some crazy customers. But I think it's being really careful with your words right at the onset, and navigating through it as fast as possible. I mean, you had a one man, two guys, right? You weren't desperate for work, Zach. You could pick and choose what you wanted to repair, who you wanted to repair.
I was tired. I mean, I got to the point that there's so much work around here and so many people doing things wrong that I kind of had more of a choice in what I did. Could I have done more? Yeah. Was I too tired to do more? Yeah. I see it a lot in the flooring side of things, and so I get to be really choosy with the customers that I go to. And that's why having my own personal mission statement, because I have to align with them. I have to be able to serve them at an ultra high level. Some of these people, I mean, so I think to appliance repair, right? Like, oh my gosh, that's a $500 washer repair. Get out of my house. Some of these people are spending to the tune of $14,000 with me. And so when someone's spending that, like, I have to be able to serve them at a high level. So I better be in sync with who they are. So if that type of customer and I are not really in alignment, there's a ton of companies out there doing flooring. There's a ton of companies out there doing remodeling. There's way better people for them than me if we're not in alignment. And I really try and kind of filter through that process with them. I think the biggest lesson that I have learned is what you highlighted, like, get through the customer fast. Like, when it's a problem, do your best, be impeccable with your word, and get through that problem quickly and move on. Like, don't take it personal. Okay, they have a problem with me. Some of this is me. I know some of this is them, but how are we going to get through this and get to the other side so there's some resolution, and move on? Because that's way too much energy to deal with a negative customer, right? Mental fatigue when you're on the downside is one of the hardest things in life you'll face. Oh yes, that's true.
But the thing is, and I have some appliance guys that I know that think like me. When you leave the house, this is like 1993. How old were you in 93, Zach?
Like, I don't know. I don't remember.
You don't know.
8, something like
8.
that.
So I was 23, and you leave a house and you do something that you've done 50 times already. The words, the actions, the approach to fixing the appliance, how to handle the customer. And then something weird happens and the customer says something and it just be here we go. It just becomes weird and the customer wasn't happy. So what do I try to do? Think about what I could have said or done differently.
Mm-hmm.
And so the drive time between calls kind of made me develop this sort of psychiatric approach to taking care of my customers. But I don't know. I mean, I don't see half of my guys doing that today. I don't know how to coach that or to teach that. I wonder if now that we're a company that has managers and departments, do they just assume, oh, I've got an angry, frustrated customer. They didn't like what I said or did, send it off to the boss or to a different boss. Like when we were smaller, I wanted to figure it out. So does my service manager, Brian. He did the same thing, different era, but did the same thing. And you know what? Mental fatigue is minimized when you master being in control of the situation and the customer. And you are the expert and you know better than the customer. And sometimes you need to let them think that they know better than you. And you just kind of dance along and then you smirk and leave and you succeed. But I feel like it's like blinders on and an unwillingness to try to understand people. That's the key to, in my opinion, successful customer service is you have to read people and understand them. Not sure how to.
In other words, you don't need a high IQ, you need a high EQ.
Okay, I'm gonna put that on our shirts.
You don't need to be the smartest guy in the room, but you darn well better have a high emotional quotient. You better be able to understand and empathize with. I mean, that's what you're talking about is emotional.
That's why my
quotient.
wall doesn't work today because I don't have the IQ. And anyway,
patience. 100%. Yeah. Keyword is patience. Yeah.
Well, patience has to come with an action. Patience gets you through it, but you need to reflect and figure out what to say or do differently the next time. That's what I think. I think there's only 462 scenarios when you go to fix appliances of people, behaviors, and and you just got to learn them as fast as you can. Did Saul really fix appliances before he went to Marcone?
No, there should be quotes around that. He's being you.
Oh, he's mocking me?
But there's truth in this because I remember the owner of Gordon's telling me the same thing. Like,
yeah,
I used to carry like 2 fan motors and 2 motors and I could fix everything. And I'm like, what? There's like 35 dryer motors now. Like, what's...
You also need a needle nose supplier. You need that for sure. Yes.
No, so we're in the people fixing business. We're in the people understanding business. And don't get that out of order. You hear nothing else we said today. Don't get that out of order. Mm-hmm. We're in the people understanding business and then the people fixing business. Mm-hmm. So we got to understand them before we can move through the next process of fixing them, fixing us, fixing whoever. But you got to start with understanding. You have to start with understanding. A lot of people try and flip that. They try and fix people first and then understand after the fact. I spent a lot of years making that the wrong way, right? Mm-hmm. You have to understand people first and then try and work on the fixing action.
And you know what? Good people that want great service, we have to make sure we charge the right price and that we're profitable. Because some of your profits you need to give it to the squeaky wheel to get through the situation, to finish that service call and be able to move on and never see them again. Whatever that takes, giving them some money back, giving them a refund. You just shared that about a backsplash. You warn the customer that particular pattern may not work out. They were obstinate and they wanted it, and for sure, everything you predicted it before it happened. It happened. The solution: unmarry yourself as fast as possible and keep on moving forward, right?
100%.
And that costs money. So you can't be generous with the really kind people. You need to charge them what they want to pay you. You need to get that money, so you have money in the bank to be able to get rid of people and not have it become a 1-star review, or go around and trash the hell out of you. You got to quiet them. It's hush money.
Yeah, your job. So, your job is to be a profitable service company. And you do that by charging people accordingly. So if you haven't figured out how to charge people accordingly, we got some work to do. Because if you do not have a profit, there is no money to continue to hire people. There is no money to continue to serve people at that high level that's required. You have to have an understanding of that, right? So get profitable. And if you don't know how, Business One Day in Richmond, December 2nd.
I used 1,000 words and 52 prepositions, and then in 3 sentences, you summarized it and made it sound smarter. All right, my friend. I see how this is going this week.
Listen, this is how we work. You say it in 1,000 words for the people that need to hear it in 1,000 words. Because listen, there is members of our audience that need the 1,000 words to really let it sink in. And then there's people like me in the audience that we need about 4 words because we tune out after the 4th word.
Yes. Well, thanks for being my friend, Zach. I appreciate
that. Of course. Yeah. This is fun. So Business One Day Conference, Richmond, Virginia, December 2nd. If you are on the East Coast, sign up. We would love to see you in Richmond, December 2nd. It's a regional, so it's like close. Don't go flying across the country for this. It's literally one day of intense business learning. Masterminds are rocking and rolling. If you missed out, you missed out. I'd wait till the next time around. It's going to be great. I got to see the budgeting spreadsheets for this coming Saturday for the guys that are in the group. My friend Danielle Martin brought these spreadsheets for getting simple budgeting down for those guys that don't know QuickBooks. You can plug in some numbers. Really cool. Really cool. Really excited to do that with these guys.
It's an eye-opener if you've never done it before. So that's really great.
No, and so we just talked about being profitable. It's your job to be profitable as a service business owner, as a service business manager. You have to make things profitable, and you have to know where the money's coming and going in order to be profitable. So really excited for that.
Did you see Saul's comment? I read it like this. Go ahead, put it up. Because it's in small print. I read, my mom, Doug, was rocking a dirty mullet in 1993. That's how I read it when it was offline. And so, Saul, I think your mom was probably hot in 93 if she had a dirty mullet.
We've digressed. We've just... this whole conversation just took a totally different turn.
He talked about his mom first. It wasn't me.
I love you guys. You guys are fun. Guys, that's what we got today. Hopefully it was helpful. We were all over the place. Again, Doug and I are, there's a subtitle for this about not liking people, and I'm going to curl in the corner in a blanket. But hopefully what we did share was helpful to you. It was a low blow, Doug, but it was really funny. So
I've seen moms with hot mullets. No, wait, dirty mullets. I've seen hot moms with dirty mullets. I've seen it.
Oh boy. All right. Well, on that note, we'll see you guys next time on the Morning Grind. Have a good week, guys.